What up dudes, Dean here. So for the first of a few Stratford based walks this summer, we're going to be walking out of Stratford, along the side of the river, and then down the famous Stratford Greenway. So the Stratford Greenway is an old disused railway line that is loved by walkers and cyclers alike. You'll always see people going up and down it. So in this video I'm going to talk about three things. Number one, I'm going to talk about the route we'll take, and there's an interesting tale which I'll share on why they closed the railway line all those years ago. Number two, we'll talk about the start time and the meet point. And number three, I'll talk about how we need to prepare for the walk, what with the weather forecast. So let's get stuck in with the topic of number one, the route. So the Stratford Greenway is a very nice country path that runs southwest out of Stratford between farmers' fields, through trees and over old railway bridges, along what used to be part of the Honeybourne line, which was a single track railway built in 1859. So those of you who have been following the updates in the last few weeks will know my amazing tester team of Ed, Alex and Arnold took a walk along the route a few weeks ago to see what it was like, and we concluded that it was a very nice walk. So a little bit of history. So in 1976 the track had been used for coming up on 80 years, and there was a derailment which completely wrecked the track. So it was a coal train going along which came off the tracks, coal strewn all over the place, and the tracks were ripped up in the carnage. So there is some conspiracy theories online as to why there aren't any news reports about it, but it was concluded that train derailments are not uncommon, and when they happen there isn't really much point in writing a big news story about it. However, after the derailment there was a big tidy up job in the years that followed, and by 1979 they had repaired one of the tracks and it was ready for reopening. But the decision was made by British Rail to close that section of the line completely and remove all of the track on it, which is what they did. So I haven't been able to find out any information on when the route was opened up as a public pathway, but one of my neighbours is a keen cyclist who regularly goes up and down it on his bike, and he says he can remember it being open to the public back in 1987 when he first came to the area. So you can certainly find a lot of tourist information online about it now, but I couldn't find anything on any official opening date for its use as a pathway as such, but there may not have been an official date. So there has been some talk of reinstating that section of the line that was closed, turning it back into a railway track, because it would open up a whole host of other possible rail journeys. Train services could run between Birmingham, the South West and South Wales, and have direct services to and from Oxford, and also to and from London Paddington, which opening that track up again would make available. Unfortunately, the Stratford Greenway group, which is a group that's been at the forefront of the campaign against reopening the line, their opinion is that they can't do so because the line has a number of environmental considerations along it, and there are huge practical obstacles in the way. So if you look on the map, the original track that comes down into Stratford hits the train station. That's where the track ends as far as current route's concerned, and then you've got a pathway that comes further south, and then there's actually a section of road which runs down through Old Town before it joins up to the start of the pathway, and you can see the car park there where the cycles and the walkers can begin. So the decision has been made that the route will stay closed for good. So obviously, while that's a shame for commuters and travellers, it's still great news for us walkers and cyclists, and the huge amount of wildlife that has sprung up on and around the route in the years since it's been closed. So there are two cafes along the route which have been made from old railway carriages, so you can sit inside the carriages and have coffee and a piece of cake, which is pretty cool. The first one will pass near the top as we go southwest down the route. The second one is quite a long way down the route, and if we decide we want to go that far to see it, it will extend the length of the walk from the 6 or 7 miles advertised on the meetup to more like 8 or 9 miles. So I think we might surprise ourselves with how quickly we get down the route based on the test run that we did a few weeks ago. So I think we'll just have to see how we feel when we get to the planned turnaround point as to whether we feel we want to trek on to that second of the two carriage cafes or just turn back as planned. And if we do turn back, and if we don't want to carry on, that's not a problem, because as advertised, when we get back into town, we'll have a sit down in Cox's Yard, which is a very cool bistro style pub with a superb riverside garden that we can sit at the tables and have a nice cool refreshing drink and pat ourselves on the back for a job well done. So that segues nicely into the second topic of this video, which is the start point and time. So we'll all make a start at 1 PM as it says on the event, so unless you want to be left behind, make sure you're at that start point so we can all leave together. Where is the start point, I hear you ask? Well, if you drive into the Recreation Ground car park, which is right where Banbury Road meets Tiddington Road, the postcode's on the meetup page, which is CV377LS, and the entrance to the car park is beside the Bear pub. Go all the way to the end of the car park. There is a field at the end that has been converted into an overflow car park. So park up in that overflow before 1 p.m, not at 1 p.m or after 1 p.m, before 1 p.m, and then walk out into the middle of the car park where the rest of us as the meetup crew will be waiting to get started, and we'll all set off. So drop me a message on Meetup if you can't find us and I'll guide you in. We'll walk along the river into Bancroft Gardens, cross the bridge, and then come down the other side until we get to the top of the Greenway and begin our walk along it. So the third topic, preparing for the walk. So the weather is going to be very nice tomorrow, and when I say nice, I mean warm. So you can see here from the forecast that Sunday is the last day of the heat for a while, and while our walk will start with the day at its warmest, it will then get cooler as the day goes on, and we might even see a bit of rain when we're coming in to finish. So things you must bring with you. Sun cream, that's just a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. A bottle of water, also a no-brainer. And when I say a bottle of water, I mean a sizable bottle of water. I went out with a friend on a walk a few weeks ago, and he brought a tiddly little metal container which couldn't have been more than 200 or 300 ml in size. Naturally in the heat it didn't last him 5 minutes, and he looked like the heat had got to him by the end. So make sure you bring at least half a litre water with you. If you don't have a posh water bottle to put it in, just bring the bottle you bought it in. It doesn't matter. Better to be safe than sorry. So you must bring those things, as I say, sun cream and water. And I'd also recommend a rucksack to carry them in. If you can fit a banana and a sandwich in too, that's awesome. And if there's space for a waterproof in case we get soaking, then squeeze one of those in too. So that's all for now. Looking forward to seeing you all there tomorrow. Any questions in the meantime, or if anyone wants to link up on WhatsApp, just let me know. Until tomorrow, this is Dean out.